If you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip? Yo. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, loud. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. Choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter, he's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stacked that he knows when he goes back to this mobile home, that's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go back to this moment and hope it don't pass him.
Listen, we can talk about the flag, but let's talk about Wait.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM, right here on DSM Media. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, as we always are. Make sure you smash that like button, share button, retweet button. And if you want to get involved with the show, make sure you head over to our YouTube page and hit the thumbs up button and subscribe button while you're over there. It's the easiest way to interact with our guests that we have lined up today. We got a couple great guests today. And you know, we're brought to you in the AM by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products, the GOAT and below the waist maintenance. Make sure you check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM at checkout to get you 20% off and free shipping, and let them know Team DSM sent you. So today, we're joined by, we got a couple guests lined up today. First, we've got one of our, we're going to continue our football journey conversation. We've got Tristan McCathern from Pro Level Sports Agent, a great football player, been playing overseas a little bit. We're going to talk to him here in a second. And we've got Marc Saulino from Statement Games coming on the 9 o'clock hour. We're going to talk Players Championship, fantasy golf, a little bit of football, a little bit of everything with him from Statement Games. So first, I'm going to see if Tristan's ready here. Tristan from Faulkner University. He's been playing the last few years in Europe. McCathern, are you there, Tristan? Yeah, mute his mic. Tristan, I can't hear you. Oh, there you are. You unmuted there. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. I got you loud and clear.
How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm doing awesome.
All right. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you joining us here on Trending in the AM. It's Tristan McCathern. Am I saying it correctly?
That's right.
All right. And as everything says on your social media profiles, you like to go by T-Dub, but we'll just go Tristan. I feel weird calling you. I barely know you yet by that. But
It's all good.
Before we start talking football specifically, why don't you give everybody a little introduction on who you are, where you're from. I believe you come from Panama City, Florida. Just your upbringing in football and stuff like that.
Yeah, like you said, man, I'm from Panama City, Florida. I've been playing ball since I was 8. Played 4A high school ball. Played at Faulkner University 4 years, 2 years of arena football. Prior to Faulkner. After Faulkner, that's kind of where my whole journey just kind of took off as far as overseas. I've been to Germany, Poland, Egypt, mainly Germany. And you know, every year, man, it's been a grind. Just year in, year out, trying to be seen, trying to get a look, trying to get a better look, you know, a better opportunity, a better situation. You know, from breaking records and, you know, setting records at Faulkner, then going overseas and setting records, winning championships and those things, man. It's kind of, you know, it's been a long, hard fought, fun, you know, blessed journey. But you know, I want more. You know, I want to show people that I can, you know, play with, I guess, the big leagues or, you know, the higher ranked players. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at with it, man. You know,
breaking records. Your agent Vince sent me a list on you. He's been playing about 4 years in Germany and Poland. 3,800 rushing yards, 58 rushing touchdowns, 26 receiving yards, 37 receiving touchdowns. Are those numbers? I mean, that's not records. That's like, I mean, it's not like they're playing 30-game seasons over there. There's some insanely amazing numbers there, you know, on your stat sheet there. You know, we got to get you over here. I mean, you know, for those that don't know, Tristan, I mean, you're 5'6", you're a smaller guy, but smaller guys, they have the stigma of, you know, maybe they won't make it in the bigger leagues. But of course, we're based out of Philadelphia. we've had one of the greatest little men of all time play here for 4 years in Darren Sproles. So people really need to give you a look here because I've been watching your film before the show here. Man, for a little guy, man, you run. You're not just a little fast guy. You run people over.
Yeah, man. I mean, I didn't used to be like that, but I put on a little weight, which is what I wanted to do, and it's kind of like took my game, excuse me, took my game to another level, so I can kind of take those, those bigger hits or potentially, lower the boom, put a shoulder down and kind of try to go through guys. But man, I pride myself on having strong balance, strong legs, just being a very slippery guy, hard to take down. So that's kind of where my game has been focused around.
So you come from Florida. You played at Faulkner, which I believe is in Alabama. So you spent a lot of your your early career and your early life in the southern United States. Then you go over and play, excuse me, in Europe. Talk about, I mean, I don't know, I forget which one of the pro level clients I had on that was playing in Europe as well. Talk about, the difference in the culture shock of going from, Florida, Alabama, that part of the United States to having to then go overseas and what that was like as a young man doing that.
Honestly, man, it was a huge culture shock. Being, like you said, being from Florida, playing in Alabama, I had never really been outside of those two states. And when I went overseas, man, it was just so different as far as like little things, like the food that they eat, and separating all of the trash, and just kind of like that. A lot of people walk. You know what I mean? There's not really, it's not many avenues like to actually drive unless you're actually in the city. You know what I mean? There's a lot of ride bikes a lot, man. It's just completely different. And for me, that's the coolest thing about being overseas. Of course, I love playing ball, but to go over to another part of the world and see how someone else lives versus to how I live back here in the States, I feel like that's the coolest thing to me.
It really opened your eyes to how, I mean, I did something similar. I worked on a cruise ship for a few years, which is not heavily done by Americans. And, I traveled the world and, I worked on ships that had 900,000 crew members and there were never more than 9 or 10 Americans working on the ship. So that culture shock on how people live outside of this country, it's not just, it's a learning experience. It's an eye opener. There's so many things that you learn about people, that it really changes your perspective on life in general, and all.
Right,
There
right.
you go. I see your face. Now you.
I got it working.
So growing up in Florida, who were some of your football influences? Like, who did you like when you were young? You said you started playing at 8 years old, 8, 10, young high school. Tristan, who were you trying to model your game after?
Well, the number I wear is 22. I grew up being a Cowboys fan because of my mom and my uncle, big Dallas Cowboys fans. So the person that I always wanted to model was, Emmitt Smith. But I've gotten, the comparison to him. The big comparison I've got was Barry Sanders, like you mentioned earlier, Darren Sproles. But for me, I would say my guy is Emmitt Smith.
I mean, as this is an Eagles network, this is a Philadelphia sports network. I don't have a lot of great things to say about Dallas Cowboys, but what I will say is my dad taught me a core value very early on in life. When you get the opportunity in any of the major sports to watch a GOAT, don't care. It doesn't matter what jersey they're wearing. You soak that up because you're never going to see. I'm never going to see another Tom Brady. And respect that. I got to watch Michael Jordan. You're never going to see another Michael Jordan. You don't have to love the teams, but you respect that. And that's what I feel like about Emmitt Smith. He's probably one of, if not the best running back of all time. So I respect the fact that I got to see his entire career growing up. So, that's a great guy to have as your role model as a running back and all. So you're a Cowboys fan. Real quick, we're going to sidetrack a little bit here. Since we are an Eagles network, the Cowboys, there's a lot of question marks going on with your Cowboys. Whether Dak Prescott's the right guy, Mike McCarthy's the right guy. Talk about releasing Amari Cooper here shortly. How do you feel about your Cowboys after what some would say was a pretty disappointing 2022 season?
You know what, man? I feel like, and it hurts to say this, but that's the Cowboys every season. You know what I mean? They always kind of start off hot, and then it kind of just like simmer down a little bit. Towards the end, but they just gotta find a way to stay consistent. You know what I mean? Like throughout the season, don't start hot and then kind of simmer down and then back and forth. But yeah, they just got to find a way to stay consistent, man.
Are you a Dak Prescott fan? Because actually, it pains me to say this as an Eagles fan. I'm actually a Dak Prescott fan. I do like him. I think he's a great person, first of all. A really genuine
Right,
dude. But I love his game. It's just the team around him, I think, is the issue there in Dallas.
right. Well, yeah, I like that, man. I mean, I feel like any other team, you got to build the pieces around your main guy. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's the biggest thing. If they do that, I feel like they'll be better in a sense. But also, you got to talk about Jerry too at the top. So, you know, with Jerry making all those decisions,
As long
man,
as
it's kind
Jerry's running
of
the team, us Eagles fans don't ever have anything to worry about. I don't.
of, of course, I don't blame you.
All
Yeah.
right, let's get back to you and your story and your football journey. So you've been playing in Europe for a little while. You're not over there right now, right?
No, sir. I'm currently in Tampa.
Yeah. Tampa. I just flew back in from Tampa for last week.
Okay.
So I love the
Nice.
Clearwater, Tampa area. It's a fantastic area down there, man. So the thing I've been talking with a lot of the pro level clients right now, and you guys are all your goals are to get to the big game, the NFL.
Of
Obviously,
course.
you wouldn't be putting yourself through this journey if that wasn't your goal. And Europe was a great opportunity for a lot of guys, but now you got the USFL coming back. You got, the XFL coming back next year. Talk about, how important these leagues are, that they actually survive and thrive to continue giving young men like yourself and some of the other young football players out there an opportunity to showcase yourself.
Um, Man, I feel like it means a lot. It's a huge deal to guys like myself, guys that don't get the automatic jump to the NFL.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I stated earlier, for me it's about proving that I can play in the bigger leagues, proving that I can play with the bigger players. Um, and I know I'm not the only one out here like myself. You know what I mean? It's a lot of us that want the opportunity, that want the chance to continue playing, to continue to show that we can play, to continue showing that we can compete. So I feel like it means a lot because if these leagues, man, don't survive, it's kind of like for us, like us smaller guys or smaller rank guys, it's like, what do we do? You know what I mean? I feel like it kind of forces our hand to either play arena, which I know a lot of us don't want to do, or semi-pro, or to actually like go back overseas. You know, so
So a lot of you, so you don't like the arena football game. I know you said you played
now
for a little while there early in your career. I had a guy on early last week. Same thing. He was like, it's a different style of game, and
right,
it kind of
right,
changes, the way it's played and stuff like that.
right. Man, I'm not a big fan. Like I said, I did it 2 years, 15 and 16 before I went overseas, and things just didn't go out as planned as far as the ownership of the team. I don't really want to get in too much of that, but we out of those 2 seasons, I probably played maybe 4 games. Uh, the first game and last game of each season. How that worked out, man, I have no idea. But as far as the style of play, I'm not that big. I'm not that big of a fan on the style of play. You know what I mean? The high.
So American football, or football in America really well. What's the
Mhm.
difference between football over here? Like if you played in the USFL or the NFL, playing in Europe, in Poland and in Germany. I mean, outside of the talent level, obviously being a little
Right,
different.
right,
And I know you got what's there, like a 4 or 5, import, rule and stuff like that.
right.
Outside of that, what's the biggest difference in playing in Europe versus playing over here?
The biggest difference, I feel like, the biggest difference would be uh like maybe I guess kind of all eyes on you, if that makes sense. It's not like over there you'll kind of get wrapped up into being the player slash coach. You know what I mean? Whether it's on the field or on the sideline, practice or anything like that. But um, fo- I always say football is football no matter where you go. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing. It'll always be football. But like you said, you'll have the talent pool may be different, obviously, but yeah, like I said, the biggest thing I guess is trying to, like, they always look to you to make every play, you know what I mean? Whereas here you got a whole team full of guys that can make plays, you know what I mean? So, and
Is
not
that, is
not to
that why
take
you have
anything
like
away from those
is
guys.
that why you had like 3,000 touchdowns in like 5 seasons?
Well, I guess in a sense, yeah.
I mean, I was watching. I mean, it couldn't even fit in all one YouTube highlight. I had to watch like 5 different highlight YouTube videos to get all your highlights in because there's that many of them there. So watching your highlights. I mean, you are literally a do it all kind of guy. I mean,
Yes, sir.
you're running it straight up the middle. You're running it to the outside. You're running jet sweeps. You're catching the ball at backfield. You're kick returning for touchdowns. That says a lot about the how well rounded your game is. But you don't really see that a lot out of. I'm not trying to bring up your size, but you're a smaller running back. You don't normally
Right.
see smaller running backs that are capable of doing all those kind of things. Um, has it always been that easy for you to be that well rounded of a player, or have you had to work really really hard to improve those areas of your game?
I feel like the biggest thing for me that I had to improve or get better at was going like running up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my like this what I am right now, what you see on film, the latest film, I think 19 or 21. That's the heaviest I've been.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I've been like 160, 165, 170. So the majority of my plays were designed to go to the outside. But as I put on a little more weight, I was able to take those shots up the middle and get those short yardage gains, those hard fought runs. But as far as kick returns and everything, the way I see it, if I'm on the field, then I have opportunity. You know what I mean? Tired or not, man, I'll go back there on kick return, punt return, and try to make something happen. And outside of that, I pride myself on catching the ball. Being it's not a lot of guys that come out the backfield and catch the ball fluently, efficiently. And I feel like I have hands like a receiver, so that's one thing I pride myself on.
That's actually a great way. The way you described how you catch the ball. I mean, obviously your highlight videos aren't going to have drop passes in it and stuff like that. That would obviously not
Right,
work. But the way you caught the ball, it looked natural. It didn't look
right,
like it was a struggle to catch the ball. Because you were running crosses over the middle. I mean, it wasn't just straight screen passes. That you're
right.
running. You're running real legitimate routes. Out of the backfield. Kind of like the Eagles have had a young rookie this year. Come up. We drafted Kenneth Gainwell. It was from
Okay,
University of Memphis, and he's kind of similar, a smaller guy, but he didn't get a great deal of playing time his rookie year. But when he did, he was running routes out of the backfield. He was,
right.
he was almost more of a not I don't want to call him a gadget play, but a guy that could do a little bit of everything, and that's how he
Mhm.
saw his way onto the field by being able to do multiple things.
Right.
So the being able to naturally catch the ball in stride and not have to do it makes a big difference. So what's next now for Tristan? What's next in your journey? What are you looking at? Because obviously you got all the new leagues are starting up now. Europe. I honestly before the show I thought I should have looked it up, but I don't even know what's going on with European football leagues with everything that's going on in Russia and the Ukraine. I'm not even sure how that's all gonna to play out and all. But what's next for you right now?
What's next is trying my hand here in the States, USFL, XFL, something stateside. Like I told my agent Vince, man, I've been doing overseas for a while now, so I feel like that's what comes easy to me. That's what I know. But everything I've been doing since I've been overseas has been leading me up to this point, and I feel like now is the time to try to show that like I say, I can compete, I can play over here with the bigger guys and in these leagues. So that's really what's next. That's where all my energy is aimed towards. Is trying to get a deal over here, and I'll push that as much as I can. You know what I mean? I'm not leaving overseas out of the question. That's still in play, but as for right now, I definitely want to play here in the States.
Yep. I mean, the USFL starting up soon. Obviously, there's supplemental drafts coming up pretty soon. Have you had any talks with any of the teams in the USFL yet?
I have not. It's just been a
You
lot of.
got to make that happen.
Yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm really trying. I'm on Twitter every day, hitting people up, messaging people, trying to see, what I can do if I can talk to anybody. You know what I mean? Just to kind of put a bug in someone's ear. for anything, that's all I need.
It's all hard work. That's what you got to do. People in all walks of life, they just want, and they don't actually put the effort and the time in.
Right.
So as long as you're putting in the work, it's good. I mean, all I got to do is keep just shouting out these stats, that Vince texted me from your European time. You would think people would give you, give you that chance right away.
Man, I hope so.
Before we wrap this up, I've been asking every guest this week, for the last 2 days now about this. You're a football guy too, and you play, and you get paid to play football.
Right.
Calvin Ridley had his situation. I'm sure you saw what happened with Calvin Ridley, right? A couple days ago.
Right.
How do you feel about the suspension that Calvin Ridley got for gambling on football? Because I was taught from an early age, when you play a sport, you don't gamble on it. And there's a lot of people coming down that his suspension was a little bit harsh. How do you feel about that? I'd love to get somebody else's perspective on it.
It was for the whole 2022 season, right?
He's been out for all of next season for gambling, but he was away from the team because of his mental health issues that he was dealing with at that time.
And away from the team, was he getting paid?
Probably, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
he was getting paid, yeah. So he was still technically a part of the team when he did this.
Okay. Yeah. For the whole season, I feel like that might be a bit much, honestly. I would say probably maybe half a season. I mean, if anything, but I mean, come on, man. You're not supposed to be gambling on games. You know what I mean? Like I don't get, and not to kind of get off topic, but for guys that's in the league, I don't see how it's so hard. And maybe maybe I don't see it because I'm not in the league, but how is it so hard not to do the right thing?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
you're trying
Like,
to get in the league. I think once you get in the league, you're going to open up that player rule book, read that rule book, and probably follow that to a T because you've worked hard to
Right.
get to that point. You're not going to want to,
Right.
risk that opportunity. I
Of
mean,
course.
you're trying to get there. I'm trying to get there in the media business right now. He made $1,500 worth of bets. He cost himself $18 million in 2022 salary.
For
That's
$1,500.
on a $1,500 parlay. That's a big loss, isn't it? It always, you said it perfectly. It always boggles my mind when these athletes get there and they don't follow any of the rules.
Right.
Period.
Right.
I mean, why risk that? I mean, maybe it's because they never had to work to get there. Maybe they didn't have to fight because they were naturally talented or naturally had, the eyes on them from an early age.
Right.
But it really bothers me a lot. So yeah, interesting to get somebody else's perspective. I love that you said why not follow the rules there. It's pretty simple.
Right. Yeah.
So down in Florida, thank you very much, Tristan, for coming on this morning, trending in the AM. Just keep grinding, keep working hard, man.
Yes, sir. We'll do.
I want to see you play for the Philadelphia Stars. You're a Dallas Cowboys fan, so you're used to wearing stars. The Philadelphia Stars have the same logo, just color red. We got to get you to Philly to play for the Philadelphia Stars in USFL.
So the funny thing about guys in my position, we don't care where we play.
I
play anywhere.
Well, keep working hard, keep grinding, and keep putting in the effort. And I'm sure Vince over at Pro Level Sports is going to get you your chance. Even all you got to do is get that one workout and get in front of the people, and they'll give you your shot, right?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man.
All right, thank you very much for waking up this morning and coming on again, Tristan. You can follow him. Hold on, I had it up on the screen, and now I closed it out. It's at INTLDUB22 on Twitter. Is that the same on Instagram and everywhere else on social media?
On Instagram, it'll be international_dub22.
Okay.
Facebook, just find me first name, last name.
Gotcha. Awesome. Everybody, make sure you find Tristan on social media. Give him a follow, and let's continue to help push this kid to get him to where he wants to be, playing with the big dogs.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for
having me, man. Thank you very much, Tristan. You have a great day, all right?
All right, boss. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that was Tristan McCathern, one of the Pro Level Sports agents. Great kid. I'm not lying. When Vince, from Pro Level Sports Agency, sent me his stat sheet, and the numbers. I'm going to repeat them off here again, so that the rare chance someone in the USFL is listening here. Again, when you get a text, tell me a little bit about Tristan, and the message is played at NAIA Faulkner, then been in Europe for the past 4 or 5 years, playing in Germany and Poland. 3,800 rushing yards, 58 rushing touchdowns, 26 receiving yards, 37 receiving touchdowns, 5 kick return touchdowns. That's basically in 4 or 5 years, they play about 10 game seasons over there. You're looking at 6,300 yards of offense. Add in his kick return yards, you're looking at 8,000 yards of total offense in a 5-year span. You're looking at 58 and 37. That's 95. You're looking at 100 touchdowns between receiving, rushing, and kick returning in a 5-year span. That's insane. And you watch his tapes, because I went on YouTube and I watched his tapes. Man, this guy's a short little ball of fire right there. I mean, nobody was able to take him down. So anyway, we're going to wrap that segment up there. Pro Level Sports Agents, we'll continue to bring more of their clients on as the year goes on. Real quick, we're going to pay a bill. Then we're going to, bring in Marc Saulino here. He'll be in shortly here to talk Players Championship and some other things. But we are brought to you now also by 99jersey.com. 99 Jersey. Everybody asks where I get my kick-ass Sugar Shane Falco jersey. That's where I get it. They've got some of the best movie TV jerseys there are out there. High school jerseys, college jerseys of all your favorite athletes. Make sure you check them out, 99jersey.com. Use promo code TRENDING, TRENDING, at checkout. Get you 15% off. They sometimes offer some free shipping and stuff like that as well. I know one person already took advantage of it yesterday. I just released the promo code yesterday, and someone already bought a Sugar Shane Falco jersey. So make sure you check them out, 99jersey.com. You can get your Al Bundy, Polk High. You can get your Penny Hardaway, Team USA. You can get your Shaquille O'Neal, LSU. You can get your Kobe Bryant, Lower Merion. The list of things go on and on and on. Hundreds of great designs. The quality is excellent. I vouch for them 110%. So make sure, again, you go to 99jersey.com. Use promo code TRENDING for 15% off. All right. So real quick, while we wait for Marc Saulino to join us here, I'm going to double check my messages here and make sure we're good to go here in a second. Maybe not. So we'll say, hopefully Marc joins us here in a few moments. But anyway, some things did happen in the NFL in the last couple, 24 hours. So I will bring up the Russell Wilson trade to the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson is not coming to Philadelphia. He will not be a Philadelphia Eagle. My heart is broken. It is ever so broken right now. But realistically speaking, was he ever coming to Philadelphia? No. I mean, there are the rumors floating around that he was not interested in waiving his no-trade clause to come to Philadelphia. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. That could be just another rumor that's floating around. I'm not really sure. But, that's what the rumor was said, this morning. What did Denver give up for him? 2 first-round draft picks, 2 second-round draft picks, a 5th-round draft pick, and multiple players, including Drew Lock, their young quarterback, which, I mean, he's going to be a placeholder in Seattle. He's not going to be the future in Seattle. He'll be just a placeholder. Noah Fant, their tight end, which that's a big get. That's a big get for Seattle. I mean, Noah Fant's probably, in my opinion, the best pass catcher that that Denver had, and he'll be excellent in whatever offense they put together up there in Seattle. Noah Fant and another player, I forget which one it was. Wow, that's a haul. That is a massive haul. Denver had, I believe, the 9th pick in the draft. So you're getting a top 10 draft pick, another pick next year, the second round pick next year, 5th round pick this year. Man, I just don't understand why people think. What's up, Joe? How you doing today, man? You missed an excellent first half of the show with my man Tristan. Joe, you'll have to go back and watch that excellent interview there. It's just an awful lot to give up for Russell Wilson. And here comes my man, Marc Saulino here, CEO of Statement Games. Real quick, Marc, before we even finish the introduction, that little 2-minute segue there, I started talking about the Russell Wilson to Denver trade. Is that not, in my opinion, an insane amount to give up for Russell Wilson?
I'm just kind of like, brushing the dirt off my shoulder over here like a little bit. I thought we were going to just jump right in and start busting my chops about the Giants. I'm kind of like going to getting a Russell Wilson question.
I was going to say,
I'm a little surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised, but
you and I are lucky that he didn't go to Washington. That's the way I'm looking at it. But man, isn't that an insane amount to give? Because I mean, I know the Giants were semi-rumored to be linked to Russell Wilson as well. I mean, if you were a Giants GM, would you have given up that much to bring Russell Wilson to New York?
From a Giants perspective, now that you have the season that's kind of gone, you're moving a little bit more towards it, and you have an eye towards the draft here. No, I wouldn't have given him that much. And I'm not a Russell Wilson guy. I'm still trying to figure out from a Giants perspective, what do we actually have? I mean, last year was just a complete kind of like a wash. It's a shit show. So to give up like that haul, especially when you're got 2 picks in the top kind of like 10 here, I wouldn't be giving up like one of those as of right now for Russell Wilson. I understand that he's going to be hopefully there and playing for another 5 years, but I'm still not exactly sure what I have right now. So no, I wouldn't be giving up that much.
Yeah, I was just blown away by that number. I mean, 2 first-round draft picks, 2 second-round draft picks. The Drew Lock thing, that's pointless. That's just kind of, that's a placeholder spot for
If
them.
I had Russell Wilson, I would definitely take that haul. That's a great.
Yeah,
I
think it's a great way to
Seattle.
Now Seattle, they can use Drew Lock as a placeholder. They could draft the quarterback this year. They can wait till next year, whatever it is. You add Noah Fant, who is probably one of the most underrated tight ends, in the NFL. And he's still pretty young. So I mean, it's a great haul for Seattle and a great way for them to kind of
on the Seattle
rebuild
perspective. What do you think? I mean, at this point here, I mean, DJ Metcalf's got 1 year left on his contract.
There's rumors he's on the trade block now.
Do you try? I mean, if you're going to keep him, he's got to be paid. So do you look to kind of like move him now, or you're going to try and keep him for the long haul?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the rumors going around in Philadelphia yesterday afternoon and this morning. Would the Eagles trade one of their 3 first-round draft picks for DK Metcalf right now? And the question is only if you can re-sign him.
It's a big buzz, but more from like a Jet perspective. So it's like, all right, you got the young quarterback. Would you mind giving up one of your 2 top 10 kind of like first round picks this year for DJ Metcalf? And looks like the consensus from a Jet perspective is that under the condition that he signs long term here, there's not a lot of people that would have an issue in pulling off a move like that.
Yeah, excellent, awesome. Sorry. So anyway, let's reintroduce you here, Marc Saulino. He's CEO of Statement Games. You can follow Marc with a C, Saulino on Twitter. Statement Games is just like that, just like it sounds, at Statement Games on social media. Statement Games is a fantastic free alternative fantasy sports gaming system out there. You pick your 10 statements, you rank them in order 10 to 1, 10 points if you get it right for the 10th one, 9 if you get the 9th one right, and on down. I asked him to come on because he does do some golf stuff, and we don't really talk golf much on the morning show. I save that for my Fairway to Heaven golf show on Tuesday night. But this is like one of my favorite 2 or 3 weeks of the golf year. It's the Players Championship week. So I said, yo, Marc, do you want to come on, talk a little golf? We could talk the Statement Games, platform, and make some picks on this this morning. And Marc's like, absolutely. First off, before we talk about the event this week itself, are you a fan of the Players Championship and TPC Sawgrass?
I am a little bummed. I'm a little bummed out right now because it doesn't look like the weather is going to be very promising this weekend, and I think it's going to be one of the first times in a while where the tournament actually kind of finishes on a Monday as opposed to a Sunday. So it's one of my biggest pet peeves, in golf. I would rather just end the round on Saturday. I just don't like it when you moving into another week. But hey, it's only Thursday. You can't predict the weather. So instead of getting, too far ahead of myself with regards to weather conditions and what could or potentially could not take place heading into Sunday and Monday, let's just, leave it at that. But no, I think it's going to be a stinker of a weather.
I already, because of that, I already had filled out my Statement Games, lineup for this week, but I'm already ready to adjust it because over 12.5 or 12.5 under or better, it's not going to happen.
I already locked that in. If you want to jump at the picks, I've already locked that as my number 1 pick, the under 12.5. You're talking about the overall tournament winner?
Hold on 1 second. I got to get my shared screen up here. I was not prepared.
No, but from a gaming perspective, I mean, look, we got to get games out on Monday. I mean, we're not really. I mean, we have an eye on things, but I mean, look, the tournament winner last year or last couple of years is always hovering around anywhere like that 11.5, 13.5. Mark
I got it. So last year, JT was 14 under. There was none in 2020. Rory was 16 under. Webb Simpson, 18 under. Then you had that rare Siwoo Kim win at 10 under. And then Jason Day was 15 under. So
and we thought we were being ultra aggressive with 12.5.
I mean, and now I feel like I'm lost with 12.5 there because that's an instant edit right there. So this is for anybody that's new to Statement Games. This is NBA, NFL, NHL, golf. I mean, they literally do it for everything. Do you do NASCAR too, or
it's not the first time that I'm starting to get more requests for NASCAR.
I mean, I know nothing about
NASCAR, soccer, cricket, but no, we'll get there. We're just in the process of really making some nice tweaks, believe it or not, for the upcoming 2023 football season. We got a couple of things that we'll make some adjustments on with basketball heading into like the playoffs. But as of right now, the focus from a gaming perspective is basketball, hockey, baseball, and football. But as you can see, we're also, sprinkling in some golf. We'll sprinkle in some WWE as the big kind of like events kind of pop up, such as WrestleMania and SummerSlam, UFC. Anytime there's like a big card from that perspective, or a boxing card, we'll throw in those games as well. And believe it or not, here during the pandemic, we actually did pretty well with esports. So at some point, we'll look to kind of bring that back. So we have a lot on the plate here. But
that's where my love of gambling and fantasy golf came from, is because golf was the first sport that came back after the pandemic. That's where Fairway to Heaven came from. Because I needed something to do golf wise. I didn't do fantasy golf before the pandemic. I watched golf. I'm a golfer, but I never actually gambled on it. But it was the first game available, and as a degenerate that I am, I needed something to mess around with, and that's where golf came from. So, I mean, it's actually, in my opinion, gambling, fantasy, golf in general is probably the best sport, in my opinion, to gamble on in any avenue, because it's a 4-day sweat. Well, this week with the players, probably a 5-day sweat, but it's such a roller coaster. You think you're winning, and then all of a sudden the next day the weather changes or a guy's swing tweaks up somehow, then you drop down, then you drop back. It's a constant roller coaster, golf. And that's what I absolutely love about it.
Yeah, I mean, I love horse racing, so I think betting on golf is the most equivalent thing to kind of like trying to handicap like a horse race. Of course, it's just over a longer duration. Horse race is what averages about 2 minutes or so. This is, gives you the ability to handicap, make adjustments, and kind of think about it over the course of a 4-day tournament. I obviously, football is something I'm extremely passionate about here, but in the same breath as you, I am super excited and look forward to betting golf pretty much on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we got the Players Championship this week. This is basically for anybody new to Statement Games. Check them out, statementgames.com. It's a free to sign up for. It's a free to play site. You got all these things on the left here. You got a bunch of statements here. You got, yes or no. Any player will have a hole in one. If you think someone will, you slide it over into the slot over here on the right-hand side where you think it is. So obviously, we could start going through this list. Obviously, the overall tournament winner, over under 12.5. I obviously thought before the weather came out that over 12.5 was a lock. Now that's definitely not a lock, correct?
I hate to raise my hand and say, when the system makes mistakes, but I think we're giving you one here.
Yeah, I think it's a gimme, absolutely. And just so anybody that's new to gambling on golf, it's great to do your research Monday, Tuesday when all this stuff comes out, but you do not lock any of your picks, your bets. Well, sometimes the bets, like I locked in 2 bets really early this week, but you don't make your lineups and your decisions till Wednesday afternoon at the earliest, because you got to see the weather, you got to see the tee time pairings. The people that tee off on Thursday afternoon and then tee off Friday morning are better off than the people that tee off Thursday morning and Friday afternoon, when Friday afternoon's when the bad weather hits. So you got to look at a lot of those things. So it's really important as a new person gambling on golf, you wait to make your final decisions till late on Wednesday if you have the time to do that. Do you think that's a pretty accurate statement?
I would, especially this week, yes. Absolutely.
I'm going to read down my statements that I've picked for this week, minus the one on the very bottom that says over 12.5. So I haven't made any changes yet. I want to get your opinions on the ones that I've selected. So the first one, the one that I am 110% deadlocked on, it was the first one when I went down your list that I love, that either Dustin Johnson or Matthew Fitzpatrick will have a top 15 finish. What do you think?
I mean, I would like to kind of see Dustin Johnson kind of playing like a little bit better, but I can't remember a time and where I saw odds on Dustin Johnson finishing above the top 10. So the fact that you're actually getting him in the top 15 is something you have to lean a little bit more towards. I'm not necessarily a big kind of Fitzpatrick fan, especially from this course. I'm definitely worried about Justin from a perspective of, hey, look, TPC, it's not necessarily a necessarily long course. It's more kind of precise, but he is kind of accurate. I think courses that play longer in length favor guys like Dustin Johnson, but you just need him in the top 15. I'm not asking for a top 5 or a top 10. I would lean a little bit more Dustin Johnson than Matt Fitzpatrick, but think of it as like 1 and 1A from a horse racing perspective. I think the play is Dustin Johnson. I like it. I like it in the top 15.
Yeah, well, first off, Dustin Johnson has had success here in the past. Dustin Johnson as a bettor, I mean, it was one of the first bets I made. I don't know if Dustin Johnson's going to win this event or not, and I actually missed it. At one point, he was about 40-1 to win the event. He's fallen down to 35-1 to win the event. I saw 35-1 on Dustin Johnson. I don't care what his last 2 or 3 events were like. When you get somebody that was number 1 in the world for however many years in a row it was, and he still plays pretty damn well. He just won, a major less than 2 years ago, and you get 35-1 odds on him. I'm like, click, click, click instantly on someone like that. And Matthew Fitzpatrick, I'm not a big Matthew Fitzpatrick fan either, but he has played really well the last month and a half of the golf season. So I thought that was a pretty good, pretty good, option there. Next bet that I've got on here, a guy that has never missed a cut here. He's played here 9 years in a row. He's never missed a cut. I've got Adam Scott finishing above Max Homa.
No, I like it. I mean, just from a pure ball striking kind of like perspective, tee to green here, accuracy. I think you'd pretty be hard pressed to name more than 5 golfers who have better natural swings than kind of like Adam Scott. The fact that you have the weather and rain playing into the factor into heading into this weekend kind of like signifies to me, and where the greens might be slowing down like a little bit here. Obviously TPC plays extremely like fast, and the greens are extremely like difficult, which is not necessarily Adam Scott's strength. So the fact that he might be getting like a little bit of a break kind of on the greens, combine that with how accurate he is with his tee game and from kind of the fairways. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Adam Scott taking down Homa this week.
And if you look at my next couple statements, they kind of follow, because everything you said about Adam Scott, first off, last week, at the Arnold Palmer, he didn't even bring a driver. He took it out of his bag, so he didn't do it. And that's the kind of course this is. This is a Pete Dye design.
Yeah, it's not alone. You got accuracy plays a much stronger role with this type of a course, as well as kind of like the short game. But I know that this course kind of like set up here was set up to be extremely kind of like fast. And I think with the weather, I think TPC actually came out and said that they would try and slow the greens down like a little bit, depending on what the weather forecast looked like heading into the weekend. So I think anytime you get situations like that, that definitely favors players like Adam Scott.
Right, but exactly. So, but all the guys, if you look at the next one, Shane Lowry over Daniel Berger, Paul Casey.
You got a European kind of like player who's
exactly Tommy
used
to
to
over Justin Rose.
These are
the guys that play well. Pete Dye, European, accurate ball strikers that like these kind of shorter courses, windy courses. So I got Shane Lowry, I got Paul Casey, and I got Tommy Fleetwood. Bing, bang, boom, right after Adam Scott there. Do you like any of them more than the others, or am I?
No, this is getting scary because I'm pretty much like in lockstep with you. I mean, I'm a little surprised that you actually put Fleetwood over Rose as a number one pick. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't be locking in on a pick like that for this tournament. I think it's too hard or too tough of like a decision. So I don't necessarily have a feeling either way with Fleet or Rose. I just don't like. It's not that I don't like the pick. I just don't like. I think there's better options within the card to select. Kind of like going from there. Getting back to like the course and how difficult it is. I really love Brooks Koepka. Again, you just ask him to finish like in the top 20. Courses like this, I think the most important tool that you could potentially have heading into a tournament like this is the mental tool. Basically, the tool that kind of sits between your ears or your brain. And look, this guy's rock solid. I mean, this guy's emotionless. He has proven he has the ability and the composure to, compete and play in the toughest of spots. Again, almost like the same thing with the Dustin Johnson type of scenario. I would like the course to be like a little bit longer so that he can take advantage of like that length. But then again, I'm not asking for a top 5 with Koepka, so I really like the pick of him kind of finishing the top 20.
I got more.
Yeah, I'm not going against Morikawa.
Yeah, and for anybody that knows, the reason why I went this, because the one thing that holding Victor Hovland, I know he's won a lot on Europe. He hasn't won, too much on the PGA yet. His short game is just absolutely dreadful. And if anybody watched Arnold Palmer last week, I mean, some of his bunker play and play around the green was just atrocious. It was just god awful. His putting is not very good. So I think that's a great pick there. It seems like it's a tough choice. Victor Hovland, fourth in the world, Colin Morikawa.
Well, plus
It's
he's still
not.
young. He's still
Yeah.
young, and where again, I think the mental aspect of these things here, and where, hey, more quiet. He's got the tools kind of like up top. I don't necessarily him being shaken or rattled with course conditions or any type of little minor hiccups that he could encounter all over the course here. And where I think, like we kind of saw last week, things like that could affect Hovland, because you got to take the circumstances into the equation here. I mean, this is unofficially the fifth major of the tournament. A lot of big stars, a lot of kind of like gunpowder or firing in this tournament. This is not just a ho-hum normal run-of-the-mill tournament on the PGA Tour. So I'm not sure if Hovland is ready to, in my opinion, take a step up in class and compete kind of like on that type of a level. So I do like that pick. I'll disagree with you on your 3 and 2 picks there.
Okay.
Speaking of like the top things here, I understand that Horschel is playing like extremely well. I don't think he's got the mental makeup. I think there's plenty of examples and where I've actually seen him kind of like going to get rattled on the course here. I'm actually thinking back here. What was that kind of like one U.S. Open that I thought was pretty funny out in kind of like Washington, and where everyone was complaining about the greens, and he was kind of like making the jagged motion with his hand when he didn't necessarily see his putting ball take the line that he wanted to kind of like take, and then basically complain about course conditions kind of like after that. I know I'm going back like a couple of years ago, but I think similar situations like that play into this week here, and where you're not going to be dealing with ideal situations. I mean, the good thing from golf is that everybody's going to deal with the same kind of conditions here, but I don't trust Horschel from a mental capacity in spots like this as of yet. I would need to see a little bit more, although he's been playing.
Which actually brings up
playing really well.
that I brought up on last night's Fairway to Heaven show. We were talking about the guys from last week. I don't know how close you paid attention to the final round of the Arnold Palmer last week, but the final round, you had Gary Woodland, you had Billy Horschel, you had Christian Kirk, you had a whole bunch of guys, Victor Hovland, a whole bunch of guys on Scotty Scheffler's heels, and it was carnage.
Yeah, I think they gave that tournament to Scheffler. I don't think he should have won. I think if one of those guys would have just stepped up,
well,
it was there for the take.
They couldn't step up, or they tried to and they failed. The mental aspect of it is what we were talking about. Does it help or hurt a golfer going right from that, carnage show to another completely carnage week where they just played in similarly really tough conditions? A strong mental guy that would, propel them maybe to do even better this week. Somebody that's a little weaker mentally. That's why I went against Hovland. I didn't think he was mentally prepared. Billy Horschel, a little bit more of a veteran. I tried to be a little different than everybody else and take Billy Horschel there with that one.
No, I mean that's that. And look, from a Garcia perspective, you're getting a European player, definitely not afraid to be playing in conditions, or I don't see him having any type of hiccup as a result of kind of like weather. He's won here before in the past. He's actually playing kind of like okay in the past couple of weeks. So yeah, I would lean a little bit more towards Garcia over Wu, and then obviously we've already discussed the
that will get changed absolutely here after the show is over. That's just, oh my God, we're all going to change that to the under, and then somebody's going to go off on like a 15 under round or something like that. It's going to be insane. So what other statements? So I'm just going to page up and down here. Are there other ones on the possible options here that you really like a lot of? Are you there, Mark? Did we lose Mark? I think we lost Mark there. Mark, hello. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we lost Mark. Hopefully we get Mark back here in a second. Man. Always a possibility when we're live on the air that internet goes down, laptop goes down. But it's a Players Championship. So, this is a great site, Statement Games. Make sure you check them out. I absolutely love them. These games are so much fun to play. They're free to play. When you win tokens, you can use your tokens to turn them into, free gift cards and things like that. They got lots of great options there. Some of these other options here, Justin Thomas will be finishing the top 5. He's the defending champion. I'm not going to bet that. I think that would be too popular. Something we talked about last night, Xander Schauffele or Hideki Matsuyama, a top 10 finish. My guest last night, Chad Eckert, high on Xander Schauffele this week, even though the numbers are saying against him. you know, a top 10 for him would not be out of the realm of possibility. Same with Hideki. Either Victor Hovland or John Rahm will have a top 5 finish. You can never bet against John Rahm. He's the #1 player in the world. So it's always a possibility. The cut line now probably will be over. I think we got Mark back here. All right, we lost you there for a second, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I mean, with this, you just crapped out on me for a couple seconds. Sorry about that.
So what I was trying to get was, were any of these other ones over here, the other options, ones that that you really like?
I'm leaning a little bit more towards like, hey, look, you know, speaking kind of like Scheffler, you know, playing kind of like lights out over here, but I mean, look, it wasn't for COVID, you know, guys like Hideki, I guess technically kind of like shot kind of the course record. I like the way that he's actually playing here. I just actually think that it's more due for Scheffler to take like a little bit of a dip. So I like Hideki to be kind of like Scheffler this week. So that's the only pick that I was, you know, really locking in on when I'm filling out my card here. I actually have it as my.
What about see and so then you would probably like this one. I actually I'm looking at it now. Is the Xander or Hideki, one of them will finish in the top 10? We spent a little bit of time because last night's show talking about both of them, because nobody's talking about either of them. And when you're going to win in gambling or in fantasy golf or statement games golf, sometimes you got to be a little contrarian to what everybody else is doing to differentiate yourself from the crowd. And people are overlooking Xander and Hideki, both of them in general this week, because, you know, that they're great on tough courses. They don't, I mean, obviously Hideki won the Masters last year, but it's not like they have, you know, boatloads of wins under their belt, but they're always in contention in every major golf event there is.
Yeah, I have definitely. I mean, you're still in my thunder here. Yes, I have locked that pick in as one of my selections as part of the card. Top 10. I mean, top 5s and top 10s are always kind of, you know, tough, especially when you're trying to like you know, predicting, and especially in a game like this here. It's not like I'm giving you know 8-1 odds or 4-1 odds on this. You're either right or you're wrong. So in this type of format, it's a little bit kind of like, you know, different. But from a traditional gaming perspective, yes, those are two things that I'm actually locking in from a pure betting perspective.
Okay. So on a betting perspective, have you placed any bets on who you think is going to win the event?
No, not yet.
No. Okay.
Not yet.
I mean, if it's still out there, I mean, I went right ahead when I saw Brooks Koepka. Where's my lines here? Brooks Koepka and Dustin Johnson at 35-1 to win the event. I had to bet that right away.
I can tell you who.
Just because of the odds being so great.
I mean, yeah, I haven't locked in any selections yet, but I know kind of like a different. I do not like Rahm this week, so I am off of Rahm from either winning a tournament perspective. I think the only option that I had in my account is you can bet him to finish in the top 5. So I wouldn't be playing him kind of like, you know, there. So that's the only thing, and I'm just in this kind of like, you know, format. I like your DJ pick here. I am not kind of like, you know, on him from winning a tournament kind of, you know, perspective. And I am completely almost like from the same perspective of Brooks Koepka mental capacity. I'm not on Spieth at all this week, like, you know, either. So those are kind of like, you know, 3 guys that I've kind of ruled out.
Yeah.
Who I'm selecting. I still got
for
some
the
time.
Listeners, I did also bet Cam Smith at 30-1 this week. Cam Smith is one of the most underrated golfers there is out there on tour. I've already got a bet at 35-1 on him to win the Masters. I already said at the beginning of the year that Cam Smith was going to win 3 to 4 events on tour this year. He's already won once. And I am just literally going to bet my 1 unit every single event he's in, because if my feeling and gut is right on him, if he wins 3 events and I bet if he plays 15 events and I bet on every one of them, I'm going to come out ahead. So I will be betting every single week that Cam Smith is in the field. I will be betting him. So that's that. But yeah, I haven't really made any realistic like breakdown bets yet on the event because the weather's going to play such a factor. The more and more I think about it, I have to go check, but a Shane Lowry, an Adam Scott. I know Adam Scott was at 1.30-1, but those guys, those European guys that I've got here, Adam Scott, Lowry, Casey, Fleetwood, Rose even, they're the guys I'm going to be looking at later today at what their odds are and be placing the bets on them.
I'm looking with guys with strong mental makeup. So, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm taking fucking a chalk, but I don't actually think he's one of the favorites for this tournament. But Hideki, Koepka, guys with very strong kind of like, you know, mental kind of like, you know, makeups.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So real quick, the par 3 17th hole, unless you've already played there and you know. I'm assuming most of us, average people have not played TPC Sawgrass. What club are you hitting there on the 17th green?
What's it playing? 138.
132 to 138 this week is what they're saying. Oh man, we lost him again. The power of the internet, man. I really wanted to hear what he was going to hit there. I'd be hitting my 7-iron. I'd be choking up, or I'd be teeing it up a little high, and I'd be hitting the 7-iron there because that's what I go. We're going to give him a second to get back in because now I really need to know what he was going to hit. It's like the suspense is killing me here on what he was going to hit there. Oh man. But anyway, TPC Sawgrass Players Championship this weekend. Weather is going to be a factor. Make sure you go back and watch on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. Fairway to Heaven last night. Myself, Jason. All right, there he is. He's back. The power of the internet, man. It ruins everything.
I mean, I'm not sure what's going on. I'm looking outside. I mean, the snow's kind of like coming down pretty hard in my kind of area. So I'm not sure if it's my computer or something going on here. Let's try the phone and just hope that the AT&T network holds up as opposed to the internet.
Yeah. So anyway, what you left us all in suspense there. I said, what would you hit on 17? And then it just went blank, and I was like, oh damn, No,
I mean, I think I cut out like a little bit here. I was going to say, what's it kind of playing on the first 2 days? It's kind of like we're playing 135, 138, and then on the second days it's more 115, 120 because they'll put it in the front right hand kind of corner. I mean, it really kind of depends on the weather here. If I kind of had a crystal kind of clear day and things like that, I might be playing kind of gap wedge.
Wow.
And then I mean, on one kind of 35, I'm probably in between a 48-degree wedge and a pitching wedge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing. If it's playing 135, I'm just taking my 7-iron and playing to the middle of the green at 135. I'm teeing it up. See, that's a problem for me. My problem is that my 7-iron is about 145 to 150 yard club, but my 8-iron is about 120 yard club. So I got a huge gap there that I don't have a distance for. So I'd rather take the 7-iron, tee it up a little higher maybe, or choke down on it a little bit and take that kind of a route than trying to hit a perfect 8-iron and then losing 7 balls in the water. Because that's
if I have the opportunity to play like 17, I'm going for a hole in one. I mean, I'm never going to get it, but I'm not playing for the middle of the green here. I got one shot. I'm going for a hole in one here. Gap, I'm kind of playing anywhere between, I'd say 115, 120. Pitching wedge is more like 150, so I need kind of the 48 something kind of in between the pitch and the gap.
I'm not nearly the monster ball hitter.
I'm really I feel like I'm good from 100 and in. I like the 145 to 155 kind of yard shots.
Me too.
I am not. 135 is definitely like a weak spot for me. So because I'm always kind of in between clubs and things like that. So I have problems with those types of shots.
So we got to wrap up here shortly here, but real quick, I mean, you do run a fantasy. I'll bite it. It's an alternate fantasy sport, but you're involved in gambling and the fantasy and stuff like that world. I do need to get your opinion since I got you on the air about the Calvin Ridley situation, getting suspended for gambling on the sport, a very large 1-year suspension that I'm okay with, honestly. I would love to get your thoughts on, what he did, breaking a rule that's clear as day that you're not supposed to do, but also the harshness of the suspension. Your thoughts on that?
No, I'm completely fine with it. I mean, look, these guys have this drilled into them from the day they get drafted to the time they walk into their first, I guess, NFL type of meeting. There's rookie kind of sessions and where you just can't go ahead and kind of do it. So I'm perfectly okay with the suspension. I think he's a jackass and a moron for doing it. I mean, the guy's making how much? What's his contract? What's he kind of making?
$18 million or something like that.
He's making $18 million. He's going to risk an $18 million contract over $1,500 kind of parlay. So that type of stuff here, again, it's the mental kind of makeup that kind of makes me questions. I understand that there are several challenges with the NFL and drunk driving and some type of abuse and things like that. And there's far lesser, I guess, punishments that have been kind of issued out for what seems to be more of a severity in terms of the crime here. But look, I mean, like I said, they drill this into them from day one.
Mhm.
And if you're that much of a jackass and where you're registering from a gaming site under your own name, I mean, you should be suspended 17 games just for stupidity.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you.
For
And
being dumb, you should be, yeah.
the people
It's
that
not
are
about
trying
having a gambling problem in the ethics of. I'm more in favor of the suspension because you're a jackass. How about that?
So I'm, the whole people being upset about how he, the suspension a year versus, Ray Rice get 2 games or DUI, suspensions. I think that's 2 different subjects to discuss because yes, the NFL needs to have more of a blueprint on what suspensions need to be instead of just each case being randomly done. I'm more in. So I got into an argument yesterday on my show with my guest yesterday, another Marc Muscatelli, and he was saying that it's the NFL's fault that Calvin really did this because they're in bed with the NFL and the gambling sites because they're partnering together, they're advertising together, their players star in the commercials and stuff like that. And I think that's a bogus argument right there because the NFL is not going to not get a piece of that pie of the gambling advertising dollars with all that going on. It's like the NFL came to you and said, "Hey, would you like to advertise with the NFL?" And you just have to make sure your any NFL players
just don't do this one thing, and then you get my. I mean, well, plus, I mean, one of the reasons as to why these players are getting some of the, I guess, more lucrative contracts that they're attempting to do for is because of the partnerships with Penn and FanDuel and DraftKings and other kind of gaming kind of companies. So you can't necessarily have your cake and kind of eat it too. Making the argument on how these rookie contracts should be more lucrative, more beneficial to the players. Well, one of the reasons as to why you kind of sweetening that deal, so to speak, here is because of contracts from some of these gambling kind of partners. So that's the argument that I actually make here. And if one of the conditions of that is, look, just don't do kind of X. And look, just don't take a bite of the apple. You got one. You can live in paradise for as long as you want. Just don't bite the apple.
I can't believe that a Giants and Eagles fan have agreed this much on an episode of the show.
There was a couple things that we disagreed upon.
A single dig at each other this entire show, and we've agreed on a lot of things. I love it.
Hey, great minds think alike. What are you going to do?
That's right. So again, Marc, before we wrap this show up, tell everybody where they can find you, Statement Games, and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, statementgames.com. You can access it on your mobile phone or from any particular device that has the ability to access the internet. URL is statementgames.com. You can log in with your Google account, Facebook account, or the old-fashioned way just by registering an email address. We got the Players Championship up here. This is a free-to-play game. You're playing for coins, which can be exchanged for rewards and prizes. Looks like you have one easy free pick with the under 12.5 right now. So, I mean, I usually like to say that if you go 10 for 10 with your picks, I'll come to the table with prize. But in reality, you only have to go 9 for 10 with your picks this time over here. So go 10 for 10 with your picks. You have until probably tomorrow, around 12 o'clock to finalize your selections. We have some kind of leeway. I understand that the tournament starts a little bit earlier. But go 10 for 10 with your picks, $200. How about that? I'll come to the table with $200 cash. If you go 10 for 10 with your selections. But you got to be a subscriber to your channel, and you have to drop in your comment section below, what your Statement Games username is and what your number 10 selection is.
Absolutely. Sounds good. So everybody, thank you for tuning in to Trending in the AM today. Another fantastic episode. Thank you to Tristan McCathern, our guest earlier. Thank you to Marc Saulino. We'll be back tomorrow with Football Friday. We'll be talking a lot of all the things that have been happening in the NFL the last 24 hours with Russell Wilson, with Aaron Rodgers, all the free agent all the franchise tags being signed. So lots to talk about tomorrow. Jason Voorhees will be back, and everybody have a fantastic day. Marc, we end every show normally with a Go Birds. We haven't been doing that.
I will not be ending the show.
I know you won't do that,
Go Birds.
but I'm not gonna. We don't do it anymore. We changed the ending of the show. We changed it to Sixers in 5, baby.
Yeah, I can do that. I can get behind the Sixers. I don't got a problem with those guys. I mean, the Knicks stink. So you want to go Sixers in 5? No problem. Sixers in